Welcome to the Financial Game Plan with Hannah. Welcome to the Financial Game Plan with Hannah. I am your host, Hannah Bursaday, and today I have Liz Carlin with me. I'm really excited to learn her story. I've gotten hooked up with her through Jen and Stacy Conkey. They've been gracious and have blasted out emails to lots and lots of investors. So I'm super interested to hear her journey. Liz, welcome to the Financial Game Plan with Hannah.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So, Liz, I want to know about you. Tell me what you do. How did you get into real estate? Just tell me about yourself.
I'm originally from Southern California. I just moved to Flagstaff like 2 months ago. So it's been kind of a really crazy journey. On top of it, I was under contract for a 34 unit during my move. And if it
Oh,
wasn't for
wow.
my partner and having that partnership, there's no way I would have been under contract because it was a really big move. We uprooted our whole family. So I'm from Southern California originally, born and raised. I've always wanted to get into real estate. I'm kind of your typical person who does a lot of like reading about books and investments and like what can you get into. And I read Robert Kiyosaki's book years ago, and I've always wanted to get into real estate and laundromats. So when I married my current husband, we tackled laundromats, and we own 2 laundromats and a pickup and delivery laundry business based out of San Diego. We process about 35,000 pounds of laundry a month. So it's
Holy
a
smokes.
lot of laundry. And I miss it a lot because I have to do my own laundry while I live here. The concept of real estate was kind of not possible because it's so expensive, and the real estate's been so expensive down there that how can you're barely affording your home. How can you get into investment properties? So it was kind of an idea I had tabled and just never really planned on getting into real estate. And then I met Jen and Stacy, and it was like, oh, invest remotely. Oh, you can teach me how. And so it's kind of, I guess you could say this has been like a really big dream of mine that I just never thought was a possibility because of where I lived. So I joined their program about 18 months ago, and I've closed on 202 doors.
Holy
Two of
smokes.
those, yeah, two of the apartment buildings are like mine and my partner together, as well as one duplex, and the rest of it was investing in other people's deals. And we are under contract right now on a 48 unit outside of St. Louis with a property manager we absolutely love. We're so excited to have another property in his area, and that's going to be a syndication.
Wow. Okay. So many cool things I want to talk about. Let's go back to laundry. Laundry is the thing I hate doing. I would rather lick a toilet than do laundry. I just don't like it. How did you get into that? Was it a good niche to get into? Did you see a problem in your area? Tell me about that.
Well, we got into laundromats because of Robert Kiyosaki. Like his big thing is, passive income.
Right.
And with laundromats, you have, I mean, an unattended laundromat, you theoretically just have people that come in and clean at night. We turned into, I guess, Southern California. It's a little harder to run completely um hands-free, no people there except for cleaners. So we've had like 1 or 2 employees. And the third laundromat we've bought one, we sold it, and then we bought 2 more. And one of those had a pretty like regular enough. It was about 250 pounds a week of laundry that got dropped off for fluff and fold. And so my husband had to learn how to do laundry in order to fulfill those orders because I
I
was still
love that.
working. I was still in corporate America. So he just started, doing it, and he grew it from just chatting with people. And I don't know how it just kind of grew. He's got a very magnetic personality. So things just kind of attract to him. So we got it to about, I want to say, maybe 2,500 pounds a month. And my husband's like, how do we get this to more people? And with laundromats, it's very neighborhood oriented. You don't draw people from other neighborhoods to do, like, they just go to their local laundromat to get their laundry done. So we kind of decided we wanted to do a pickup and delivery business. So we tried to launch a pickup and delivery business, and it didn't really go anywhere. We like built the website, and we got one of our vehicles. We just put some signage on because it was, good starter vehicle. We're like, okay, let's go. And like, wow, the mailers were like, nothing was giving us traction. And my husband went to a conference, and at the conference, he met a company that was basically providing the software to manage the volume. Because when you're at 35,000 pounds a month, we're seeing 50 to 70 orders a day. And the second the tags come off the bags, you get people's clothing commingled and you got a problem. So you need a system that tags everything and keeps track of stuff and has stuff to keep track of what the customer wants, all that kind of stuff. So they did both customer service, your marketing, and the software for a very reasonable price. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. My background is actually GIS, which is mapping, like Google Maps type stuff. I was doing it 20 years ago in my career. And on that, I worked for a lot of the cities where we implemented work management and geographic based information to help us decide how to organize work at the city for the public works system. So my background is work management. So I got on a call with this guy and I peppered him with probably a 2 hour, we'll call it interrogation. I'm a big question asker. So I just get to the details and ask. And I had a strong background in what software can and can't do. And they had an answer in the demo for everything. So I looked at my husband and I'm like, I say we do it. And from there, they did all the advertising. It was Google Ads, which we didn't really know much about Google Ads at the time. We were the only player in town. And every month we doubled our income, doubled our volume until I want to say about 18 months into it, the numbers just kind of plateaued, and then COVID hit and we thought, oh God, that's going to just sink the business. Like, how are we going to get through COVID? Because if people don't have any expendable money, how are they going to afford our service? But then we didn't realize the amount of families that were stuck at home, Zooming their kids, Zooming for work. They don't have time for laundry. So we actually saw an uptick in the business, as well as the coin laundry side of the house, because it was an essential business. Not too much was open. I guess they were washing more often than they usually do, or I don't know, but our sales went up in that area too. So we're one of the few industries where COVID was like a success story. Like, we had zero problems during COVID. We lost our commercial business and it took us about 6 weeks. So it used to be about 25%, 20 to 30% of our business was commercial, and that closed immediately. And we still haven't completely rebounded back from that, but we've closed the gap with residential customers.
I am absolutely floored. Like, this is amazing. I have looked into have people come do my laundry and it's so expensive but to know that you're doing it and doing it well in your area, that's fantastic. You said that you made a move to Flagstaff. Was that real estate related or was that personal?
Political in nature, in terms of the stuff they were doing around kids and schools and vaccines and stuff. So
Gotcha.
Otherwise we'd probably still be there.
Okay. Are you, I know you mentioned remote investing. Do you have anything in the Arizona area? Are you sticking to, I heard you say St. Louis, or it's all true commercial? No, remote. I'm sorry.
Remote. Yeah, no, I'm currently, the markets that I'm personally shopping in are the outside of St. Louis area, and Knoxville, maybe heading a little bit Knoxville, Chattanooga, or Knoxville towards Nashville, kind of along those corridors. Those are the main areas. I've slowed down my interest in, I'm managing a property in Tampa that we purchased with Brad and a couple of other students a while ago. And that one, love managing it. I absolutely love Florida. My issue is the insurance is so expensive right now post hurricane that I'm just kind of like, I've eased up looking there. And then I am invested in Cincinnati, but I'm not really investing there anymore. They have a weird tax swap and drop deal that is just outside of my own personal risk tolerance. There's so many people that are invested in the group out of Cincinnati. So I got in on one deal because it made sense for investing my self-directed IRA money, because it was an assumable Freddie loan. And it's kind of sometimes can be challenging to invest your self-directed IRA money. So that was mostly what I had to work with. So it was like, okay, that looks like a good deal. And it's been fine. I just am like, I'm not searching there. So it'd have to be a really good deal to catch my attention in Cincinnati, just because I feel like they're close to something happening politically that could change the nature of the way multifamily works there. My own personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I like that you bring that up, because a lot of people don't think about the political, the religious, the economic. It's not always just straight economics with investing. You have to look at the whole picture. It's not just the piece that makes up, it's the whole pie. How are you looking? Like, what makes you choose a certain market?
Well, through the academy, which is where they basically tell you to do some basic research for, like, pick 50 different cities and do all this crunch these numbers and pull the numbers, and you'll see, and it starts to eliminate things. And so I went through the process of elimination when I just threw out, I don't know, it was probably 35 or 40 cities. And I've continued to add to it because I'm like, this city sounds interesting. And I might do a quick market analysis to decide, is it something I want to continue with or not? I did initially I was in Oklahoma and Tulsa because they're really great markets. But because of the space that they have, they really didn't have a lot of 5+ inventory there. So I found myself constantly. So I didn't with Jen and Stacy's program. Their program usually starts with a 2 to 4 program, or it used to, and people kind of migrated into apartments. And I decided I've always wanted apartments. Robert Kiyosaki in the back of my head, go with what you want, go get apartments.
Yep.
So I was really focused on the apartments, and I came straight into the apartments program. So I didn't even know how to calculate the 2 to 4 the stuff that was being sent. So if it comes to you as a portfolio of, 6 duplexes, so it's 12 units, you assess it as an apartment building altogether, but you also break it down to make sure you're not absorbing a lemon, to make sure that there's not someone that's just not a good deal. And I didn't know how to do that. So I just started to get frustrated with that market because nobody was sending me the right kind of inventory. So I gave up on that market. And then I looked into Kansas City for a while. I'm still interested in going back to Kansas City. I started there, and at first what kind of scared me, and it was my own belief, it's not necessarily the right reason to eliminate a market, was, oh man, the cost per door is so high here. And so I just kind of was asking around who's seeing lower cost per door. So somebody said St. Louis. So I jumped into St. Louis, and we ended up buying it's almost an hour outside of downtown St. Louis. So it's outside Wentzville, about by another 10 miles, in a pretty small town actually. But we think it's growing, and we found what was like the best property manager, really good reputation in St. Louis. He's probably considered one of the best. And he had left his job downtown to move out of the city, and picked up a pretty amazing position with a company out there, and is running their property management program with like 12 or 1600 doors. Like, it's a huge operation. And I never feel like second fiddle. I feel completely attended to. Like, they're incredible how good they are. And so that made that property, because we purchased the 24 unit that we purchased was underperforming. It was 40% vacant, had a lot of like problem tenants. We had major pest control issues. And none of it fazed this guy. I mean, he made the whole process so easy, and we stabilized that property in 7 to 8 months.
Wow.
But
wow.
I mean, sure, I'll take some credit. I hired the guy, but he made it so easy. And they're big. They do construction for a living. So they're more like a very well-oiled machine. And that's the difference between a phenomenal property manager and a really good one, is that we stabilize much faster than we planned to.
Do you think it's open lines of communication that make him so stellar? Or what is it that you think makes him be the amazing property manager that he is? So many people have so many negative things to say about property managers, but when you find a good one, man, you've got a good one.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with the way they run internally.
Okay.
Because their communication, now he's structured a little differently than what it seems like most companies are. So usually what I'm seeing is like, you have like a property manager that maybe takes 100 to 150 properties or doors, 100 to 150 doors. And they're the manager, the maintenance person. They handle and coordinate everything. And this company actually made me nervous because the leasing agent has they're telling me can handle up to 350. I'm like, 350 doors? Like, how is that possible? But it turns out she just does tenant stuff, like renewals and leasing. And if there's a problem, she handles it. But any maintenance stuff all goes to a maintenance department. And so I can't see what their internal communication looks like, but it feels like they've got it down, like that they're always in the know of what's going on. And then Greg is above both the leasing agent and the maintenance guy, and I can see he communicates with them. And I want to say, I mean, we get some communication from the other two people, but it's mostly from him, which surprises me. Like, 'cause he's got So it's a very seamless operation, and then they are very on top of things. They don't just kind of drop problems in your lap. They drop a problem with what they think possible solutions are, and it seems like right as I'm about to ask a question, they're telling me the answer. So they're very proactive. They're good at marketing. They're good at, what I've also noticed is when you're dealing with like a one-man show, you have maybe one person who's really good at keeping the places leased and keeping the tenants really happy and really, really good at marketing, but they're not so good at keeping the property maintained and looking nice. And so I feel like you're almost like taking that, where areas people are either maybe they're good at this one but not the other, and they've just separated it out. So it's like the leasing agent obviously is good at marketing because she's leasing these units, and the maintenance guy is good at keeping the grounds looking good. And so you're not asking somebody who manages property to manage the people side. And so I don't know if that might be part of their success.
That's
But
amazing.
we just they also are incredibly reasonable, like, because we all knew that this was a tough property. And we're heavy Section 8 in the area, and with Section 8 comes some, instability and difficult people, um and we're looking for the good ones because we know that they exist too. That it's just a different demographic, and we're, every so often they brought somebody in and within 2 months it wasn't a good fit, and they were either causing problems for the neighbors or whatever, or they were bringing a family member in that was a problem, and we've broken people out of their leases. We let them out, or if they wanted out, we let them out, and they didn't ever like act like they wanted to charge us a second time for the leasing fee type of thing. So they're very, very reasonable. Like they look at it as, all of our goal is to get the right person in there, and they have more applicants. And so they're just, the ads probably constantly running. And so they, they're very reasonable and nice to work with that way. And I never feel nickel and dimed. I never feel like I'm being charged a little bit here and a little bit there, which I know our property manager in Cincinnati, we constantly feel like every time we turn around, there's a $50 charge because they showed up to the facility. So this guy is just incredible. He sets the bar so high.
That's wonderful. It's nice to hear something good about a property management company because they're just like everyone, just like residents, just like Section 8, like you mentioned, there's good and there's bad. And the bad apple almost always ruins it for everyone. How
Yeah.
has current market conditions impacted your buying power right now?
Oh, everything's overpriced. We're making offers that are just below asking price. We're also asking who is willing to do seller financing. And my partner actually writes up most of the offers because she's the calculator master. She is oftentimes writing an offer with option A, as this is if we're, going with conventional financing, or B, if you can offer us seller financing with a rate that
Right.
we'll throw out there. So we just tell all of our agents and brokers, always ask, like when you're asking for the rent roll and like you want the information, ask if they're willing to do seller financing. So the current deal we're doing that we're under contract right now does not offer seller financing. So shopping around has helped. We locked in just last week a rate of 7.25, I think was the number. That's not too bad right now.
Right.
So and oddly, uh, the property manager, who is very well connected in the real estate world, set us up with that finance, with
This
that
dude
lender.
sounds like a rock star. I mean, he is helping you out. He's not nickel and diming you. He's filling up your place. He's fixing it, turning it around. I don't know who this guy is, but holy smokes, he better be on your Christmas card list because he's
The
doing
whole team
great.
is. Yeah, we sent like we even sent like a gift basket, and he's like, oh, that wasn't necessary. We sent like a Harry and David, like fruit and nuts and stuff, so there was something for everybody in the basket. And he's like, you don't need to do that. And we're just thinking, yes, we do. We like really appreciate everything you've done. And we know that, you give attention to the people who, you scratch their back kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So anybody that's in the west of St. Louis and kind of the rural area, ELS, Greg Smart, absolutely amazing property manager. He deserves the plug, hands down. I have another really good property manager. And if I didn't know Greg, I would say they were the best, but I know Greg, and Greg I just don't know that anybody can top that guy. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible.
I will for sure put him in the show notes so that everybody west of St. Louis can go and hit him up. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You said that the property that Greg is taking care of, it wasn't in the best shape. Are there certain types of complexes you look for? Are you an A class kind of girl? Are you a C class kind
So
of girl? Like, what is your thing?
I'm a C class kind of girl. Learned is that they tend to, you have a lot less amenities, you have a lot less expenses, so their expectations are lower, so that they end up cash flowing a little bit better. We tend to go after properties that are value add because they're lower in price, so that they're affordable, and you raise a little extra money, you bring it up to market rent, you can turn the property around in 3 to 5 years and see some equity, where the stable properties, they tend to, take 7 years before you're going to be able to sell it. And so we have just found that's been kind of our approach, is looking for the mismanaged, underperforming. I mean, that property, 24 units in a place where we are being told the Section 8 list is thousands long.
Wow.
And you have these units not filled. That's
That's
mismanagement.
right.
Because and we're not even 100% Section 8 in our building, even though we probably could be. And they're a good Section 8 office to work with, because my understanding is they're not all made equal. This one is probably also one of the best. So it's like there was no reason for any of these units to be vacant, but the previous owner didn't want to spend any money, didn't want to invest into it. A tenant would complain about a problem, and they would just move into a different unit. And so now there's a leaky something or whatever, and they've just shut the water off instead of fix the leak. So even when they were having pest control problems, they just moved messy, unkept houses from one unit to the next. It's like, that wasn't very smart.
Yeah,
Let's
that
make
just
another.
spreads the problem. Yeah. So how do
Exactly.
you say that you've done some deals, you and your partner, you've done some deals with lots of other people. How do you build the trust to be able to give your money to the next person to buy a building?
Well, I'm a big question asker, and I have learned over the last 18 months, there's more new questions that I need to ask around, the bookkeeping end of things. Most of it's that I've met most of these people in person through the academy. And so it's made me very comfortable really quickly to do deals with them. And then, like, I just invested in an RV park that not a mobile home park, but like a vacation, where you drive
Mhm.
your RV up, and they're building tiny homes and glamping sites and whatnot. And one of the people I met from the academy is a part of that GP team, and I know how she underwrites things, and I know how conservative she is on deals, and she presented it to me, and I did my due diligence. I still looked into things, but there was just a huge comfort in knowing how conservative she is on what she goes into. And it was very comfortable for me to follow her into a deal, because I know how she scrutinized the heck out of it, and she was putting her own money in it. So
That's a big part. If they don't have skin in the game, it's hard for me to put my skin in my game. So you
mhm.
have laundromats, RV parks, apartment complexes. Do you want to try another niche, or do you want to stick to what you have? Where are you at in that?
One of the things I want to do, so many people in the academy, so many of my real estate investing friends are like, I want to do a laundromat with you. When are you going to do a laundromat? Like, I want to buy in on your next laundromat. So one of the problems with laundromats is that you can't always find them in your own backyard. So, like, we've already looked into Flagstaff. Our understanding is 4 of them recently. So there's only 11 in town. 4 of them recently sold, and we happen to know Casey's, who you interviewed, her family owns, I think, 2 or 3 in Flagstaff. So not a lot of room right now when 4 of them just got sold.
Right.
So we're looking to see what markets we're interested in trying to develop the remote laundromat concept, but you have to be in a neighborhood that's okay without coin, because there's a lot of people who bring cash and they want to be able to leave their cash with them, and they might not have a standard debit card, and so they don't want to buy your laundry card and then be left with $5 left on the card, and they need that for dinner, or to go to the grocery store. They don't want it stuck until they do laundry again next week.
So are you doing a coin operating system? Is that how you're
Well,
getting the funds?
that's how a lot of certain neighborhoods, you have to have the coin or they won't shop at your store. So we feel like if we do the right market research to find the right neighborhoods that can handle that, they're either swiping their own credit card, or if they have cash, buying a card for your store, and that you'll still do well.
Gotcha.
There's some interesting things that I'm currently researching, which is right now, when you go to get a loan from laundry equipment is super expensive. You're looking at $300,000 to $500,000 just for equipment to tool up this
Wow.
place. Yeah, it's expensive. It's the most expensive part. And but for some reason, these machines that last 25, maybe even more years, the useful life, according to the manufacturer, is 7 years. So the lenders have a 7-year term. So you're paying off $300,000 to $500,000 in
A
7
lot.
years. You ain't got no cash flow for 7 years. So that's how my husband and I did it when we got started. We just went through like the regular channels. I was still working corporate America, making good income. So he could work the laundromat, not making anything, and we would eventually make some money. And that's eventually happened. And we like sold our first one, we made money, put it into two more. Now you got two, two machines, two stores of machines that were paying us. So that helped a lot with all the loans. So I need to spend some time researching with other lenders that are not so boutique to laundry, and find out, could we get a longer loan? Could it be more based on the lease instead of the equipment purchase? Like, what could we do to see what could be different? And then there's also the concept of just fundraising that as a part of the raise and not having a bank loan at all on it. So I have a lot of work to do in this area to figure out how to make it work. And once I do, I know I have friends that want to get into diversifying their income streams, and it's very appealing. It's hard to find laundromats for sale because they're pandemic proof, they're economic proof. And if you have one that's performing really well, you're not selling it. Like, we left San Diego with 2 laundromats in San Diego, and we live 7 hours away. Like, we're not selling them anytime soon.
The pandemic proof part is pretty amazing because
Mhm.
granted, we've never lived through this, and now that we're seeing it, it's a lot of businesses tanked that you did not ever see coming. But laundry, I mean, you got to have clean clothes. I mean, that's just kind of part of it. I would
Yep.
love to get in on a laundromat. So when you get there, you keep my number. I will be in on that. I want to say I went to Joe Fairless's best ever conference this past March, and there was a man there who was pitching laundromats. And what he does in his, he has like a whole community corner where the libraries donate books for the kids to read while the parents are in laundry. They do all these really, really cool things. He said even like at the local school systems, if the kids are doing great, then they can get like a little bit of money off on their laundry, or they can take this to this store, which will give them a new book for the laundromat. Like, it's a whole community project, and I think that's really, really neat.
Cool.
I wanna I wanna ask you about your team. How did you build your team? I am in the process of building my current team. It's a little harder than I anticipated. You have to really trust these people. How did you build yours?
Um, we looked at our existing staff and the
Okay.
people who were like performing as kind of shift leads and helping with training, and also the people who my husband was spending a lot of time with because they work the day shift. Most of our workers are working afternoons, evenings, because our drivers are out in the morning and they're picking up and delivering the laundry. So they're in the store between 7 and 8, and they get back basically 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So washing starts between 2 and 4, and it goes until that finishes, and then folding goes on until like 2:30 in the morning. So, and then everything's ready, and then it starts all over again at 7 in the morning when the drivers come back. So my husband, we don't interface so much with the evening crew, so that makes it a little bit harder. In fact, the person that we currently have in place as the nighttime supervisor was not, if you asked us a year ago if he would have been our supervisor for nighttime, we would have said no way. So it's kind of an interesting story. But back to the daytime people, my husband was spending time with them, and so he was able to train them. And when we knew we were moving, we said, okay, we know we had a 2-year exit strategy, essentially. Like, we have to have this working or we can't move. And we told the girl that we were planning to move, and that we were looking to find people who, like, we wanted to invest in so that they could learn the business. We didn't tell them that it was like a guaranteed promotion, because you got to be careful about that. But we just said that we're looking to, get the right people in here with that know enough about the business and that are committed to us. And we just kind of saw how she performed. And so It's everything from the way they communicate with us and how much they're trying to solve problems themselves. Because if you constantly have somebody coming to you like, what do I do? The washing machine is overflowing. Well, did you stop the machine? Did you, if
Right.
you've been through it with them 10 times and it's not that hard of a problem, they're not going to be your person. And so my husband happened to work with her really closely, and we also had somebody who was doing customer service for us that takes all of our phone calls. So if somebody's missing something or somebody's asking a question about the service because they want to sign up, somebody's upset because they've got a couple socks missing out of their order, like troubleshooting all of those kinds of things. And I tell you, it sounds simple, but it's not. And it's how well are they catching on to these things. And both of them, they developed a really good working relationship together. And one of them went on maternity leave right before we were leaving. And that was when we knew about that, 9 months of it coming up to it kind of thing, that we invested in the other girl as well. And we've actually worked it into it being remote. It's important that there's actually two of them working side by side. So if one of them's not there, they're not being bothered on their off hours and that kind of stuff. So, some of it's just, I'll admit we hire a lot of entry level workers and we don't know who's going to work out and who's not. And we give a lot of people a chance. And if it doesn't work out, we just let them go. And we just kind of assess everybody as we're going, because we are dealing with laundry. It's not rocket science. So, but at the same time, if, there's always people who rise to the top on your team. And then our nighttime person, oddly, our previous nighttime supervisor, we didn't realize she was a problem because she'd been working for us for a really long time and we probably trusted her too much. And she was always poo-pooing this guy. And we realized she was poo-pooing this guy after she left because she couldn't control him. He was not influenced the way a lot of the other people in the facility were. So when she left and we said, we're looking for somebody to become a nighttime, nights to replace her. If anyone's interested, let us know. And he came forward. And so we just gave him a chance and we gave him a temporary job change and said, let's see how this works. And we're here. We kept the lines of communications open with him. We made sure he knew that we were here if he needed something. And he gives us a call. Like I hear from him probably about every 2 weeks, especially if there's a new employee on staff and he wants to give me like, this is what's going on. This is what I'm seeing, or, ooh, I'm not sure this person's going to be able to physically handle the job. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. It'll show itself, because sometimes people might not look physically able to do the job, and they actually are. They just might not look it. But we just thought we would give it a try. So he surfaced from coming forward when we asked, and we were open-minded because we didn't have too many people interested, and he has actually worked out incredibly well. So I recommend on-the-job training. And if you have your eye on them, start trickling them some things that you think they might do well at and test them out before you've even promoted them.
Wow. So how does building your team for your laundry business, how does that impact your team building for your real estate investing team? Because that's a totally different team. But how did you
Yes.
build that one?
My relationship with Rachel was very organic. She joined the program maybe a month or so after I did, and she was in the 2 to 4 program. And this is my biggest advice for people in general, is just network. I love to have coffee dates and meet people and come over for dinner and let's play games. Like I'm super social and I love doing those kinds of things with people. I love meeting new people. And so I put a coffee group together in San Diego because I was there for a lot of people happened to be from the Jen and Stacey's program in San Diego. Like there's probably 7 or 8 people. So I started doing coffee dates, and she, whenever I found out somebody was from that area, I threw them in the chat and just, kept growing, and it would evolve. Sometimes people would get busy and couldn't come. And one day Rachel was the only one who was able to come. And I'm the one who was doing the driving because I live a little bit more south than the rest of the group did. And I pulled that whole like self-limiting belief of like, why would she want to just get together with me? Like people want to get together because of all the other people I'm bringing together. And I have been kind of getting a little bit more spiritual and like connecting with my higher self. And my higher self, just my gut said, go on this coffee date. Don't cancel on her. Just go. And we went, and we were there like probably twice as long as we usually were. We were talking and our conversation just got really deep, and we were sharing like the struggles. I was struggling with the calculator, and she happened to also be looking in St. Louis, and she was looking at 2 to 4s, and we just like really connected on a personal level during that one-on-one coffee date. So thanks, Starbucks. Because that's where we were. And then, went home, and she went home, and I'm working on something. And she's like, hey, my agent just gave me this 8 unit in St. Louis. I don't know if it's any good, but do you want to take a look at it? And I did, and it didn't work out. And so then she joined the apartment program. So now, and she's like really good with Excel, and she's a financial person with a financial background. I've managed big budgets, but not at the way a bookkeeper does on real estate. So it's interesting because I'm going from a $50 million construction budget at my old job to, these $200,000 budgets, but like every penny matters. And I don't have somebody presenting me the data to find, oh, these are the problems, go fix them. Now I'm like, okay, I have to go fix these problems. So it's like a whole new skill set because I've never managed money at this level for this kind of project. It's always been like I have a team of people helping me with it. So it's been interesting. And Rachel is a bookkeeper, tax person, and finance business. She's got this amazing background, amazing resume. So when she got into the apartment program, now we started calculating stuff together. And we were calculating stuff together. She just helped me at first with a couple of my first offers, and one of them got pretty far, but we didn't get under contract on. And then after that, I don't remember who said to who, do you want to just do this together? And it was like, okay. So we just started like, I realized how good she was at the calculator. So I just got more agents because she doesn't love making phone calls. And I'm sure I'll talk to anybody for however long and so I started just figuring out what agents were actually responsive and getting us stuff. And then I would do the introduction and they would send them straight to her. So I'd be out of the loop. And I'm the person who does all the interviewing for the property managers and the inspection companies. And I'll spend an hour or two on the phone to get my questions answered to make sure we're getting the right team. So the difference in building a team of employees is that, and a lot of my employees, again, it's entry level, so it's hit or miss, and there's not a big applicant pool these days. So I'm, I guess, a little bit easier on willing to give somebody a try in that setting because there's not a lot of risk. When it comes to the apartment world, knowing that your property manager is that's what makes or breaks your deal. How much money you're going to make is how well the property is managed and not overspending and spending on the right things. And how well do they understand, is this going to pay off? Sure, our asphalt is in not the best shape in Tampa, and we could spend the $25,000 to replace it, but the tenants aren't complaining about it. We can do some simple patchwork for $2,000. We're not going to make any more money on that asphalt. So maybe we shouldn't replace the asphalt, and maybe we'll give a credit to somebody a savvy investor who notices that it's in bad repair that asks for a credit for it. Okay, maybe we'll give the credit when we go to sell the property, but we're probably not going to fix that. And I don't feel that you have as much room for error on property managers because it's very costly and it's very hard on the tenants when you're changing property managers. So I want to try and get that one right the first time. So I do vet pretty hard, ask for referrals, which you really can't do that in the working world these days. The only thing anybody will ever do is verify employment. Yes, they were employed from this date to this date, but they won't give you any feedback, where when it's a third-party contractor, people will share their experiences. So I do call references for my property managers. I actually spend a decent amount of time vetting out a property manager. I talk to quite a few before I land on one. So
I love it. I love that you spend that time. I'm very similar to you. I love to host. I love to have coffee with people. I love to network. I love conferences. I love local meetups. I'm a big proponent of networking, but not everyone does it. My husband and I are business partners for our stuff. He can stand around and listen to some people, but give him a spreadsheet of numbers and he is just a happy little person.
yeah.
Me, I don't do the numbers. Let me go talk and make friends. Let me figure this out on that side. I really love that. Miss Carlin, I have absolutely loved having you on my show. You have brought in an entire new niche that I have not really thought a whole lot about. And my brain is like really moving, like the wheel is moving. And I think it's one of those unsung heroes because everyone wants clean clothes. And I am busy and I don't want to do my clean clothes, but I'm okay paying for it. So I love that. So we're kind of wrapping down on the show. At this point, I have 3 questions that I ask my guests. Are you ready for the final 3 questions?
Sure.
Okay, so my first question is, what is something on your bucket list that you'd like to accomplish within the next year?
That's a little bit of a tough one because I would say I've hit a bunch of things on my bucket list on the last year with, moving out of state and getting into remote investing. Like I want to continue that journey and close more doors. And so I'm just like in a place where I haven't spent a lot of time looking at where my next step is because I'm still like integrating all the current changes. One of the things I am working on, so I guess maybe it's a little bit of a bucket list. I'm working with a group of people who have very gifted spiritually, and I'm putting together a spiritual retreat in Sedona, which is only 45 minutes away from here. And so we're doing it with it's going to be all of our remote investing group that's going to be going. So it's like a girls get together for a weekend to do spiritual things and study different things and go get massages and meditate at the vortexes and do yoga. Who knows what else we'll be doing. So I'm super excited. That's coming up probably late spring, early summer next year. So I'm excited about that.
That's amazing. I love that. I also want to be included on that. Okay. I'm a massages girl, so I don't really do yoga, but massages rub me
Yeah,
down. I'm happy. So hit me up for that one too. I love your answer. Question number 2. What is a skill that you have always wanted to learn?
that's a tough one. Let me come back to that one.
Okay, we can do that. Question number 3, while you're still thinking, is if you could go back and talk to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you tell yourself?
Oh, I probably tell myself that there's more out there than you realize and to really trust within. I feel like in my life, I've looked to other people, whether it's parents or spouses or friends or bosses, for that confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. That I know within myself, I have all the answers within myself. And that's a journey I've been on the last couple of years. And I wish that my 18-year-old self knew to trust yourself a little bit more. You got this, girl.
I love that. That's a good
Yeah.
answer. You ready to circle back to question 2?
Yeah. What is a skill I've always
A
wanted to
skill,
learn? All
something you've
right.
always wanted to learn.
I'm going to say remote laundromats because it's on the
Oh,
next thing for me to learn is how to set up a laundromat to have investors so that we can grow our network of laundromats, not just be in the city that you live in, and figure out how to get the right market, how to finance the stuff. And the fundraising is easy because I have a lot of people that are interested, but how to make that deal work. That's
okay,
my
now
next skill.
that's a great answer. When you learn that, hit me up for this too. So you have 3 things to hit me up on, but you really need to write a book on that or create a webinar, something, because people would pay to learn that. That's fantastic. Liz, this has been great. How can people get in touch with you if they want to invest with you or learn more?
Probably the easiest way is I'm big on Facebook. So I'm Liz Carlin on Facebook. I'm based out of Flagstaff. My email address is liz.carlinproperties@gmail.com.
Awesome sauce. I will have all of that in the show notes for everyone out there. Again, thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate your time. I hope everyone has a great day.